This is a story called The Little Monsters, chapter 157. The kids go to Switzerland on a school skiing trip and get caught drinking. The gang are at school in registration when their form teacher, Mr. Pease, announces that there's going to be... Hang on, guys. That's better. Where are we? The gang are at school in registration when their form teacher, Mr. Pease, announces that there's going to be a 2-week school trip to Switzerland. Anyone who wants to go has 2 weeks to pay the £50 deposit, and then he gives them a letter to take home. They know that their parents will let them go, and they spend the day planning what mischief they're going to get up to. When they get there... Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to sneak some cans of lager and a couple of bottles of vodka into my suitcase and hand luggage, said Kicker. Yeah, I'm going to sneak a couple of bottles of cider and a couple of bottles of wine in, said Grumpy. I'll bring a few bottles of sherry and some cans of bitter and cider, said Bumpy. I'll bring a few bottles of gin and whiskey, said Stampy. Lager and cider are my favourite, so I'll bring loads of that, said Creeper. Baileys, Prosecco and lager are my favourite, so I'll bring a load of that, said Stumpy. I hope you little monsters aren't planning to do anything you're not supposed to be doing, said Mr. Pease. Oh, sir? No, sir, said Kicker. Yeah, well, I believe you, but thousands wouldn't, said Mr. Pease. Then Stumpy said, It's lunchtime now, sir. Please can we go because I'm hungry? The whole class, including Mr. Pease, looked at each other and all together they said, You're always hungry, Stumpy. They all laughed and then Mr. Pease said, Oh, I forgot to tell you. There's no maths this afternoon because Mr. Pear's gone home due to a family emergency. There's no one to cover for him at such short notice. This means that you'll have an extra study session with me, so you'll be able to catch up on any work you haven't finished. Oh, do we have to, sir? Asked Grumpy. Yes, you do, unfortunately, Grumpy. Don't forget, it's nearly the end of the school year, and next year you'll start preparing for your GCSEs. Once you've all chosen the subjects you want to take. Any work you do now will go towards your final grade this year, which will help your GCSEs, said Mr. Pease. I already know what subjects I want to take, sir, said Stumpy. Let me take a wild guess. You'll be taking home economics because it's about food, said Kicker. Yeah, of course, and maths, English, history and computer studies. Speaking of food, sir, please can we go for our lunch now? I'm starving, said Stumpy. They all looked at each other and then at Stumpy again, and all together they said, You're always starving, Stumpy. They all laughed and then Mr. Pease said, Yes, you can all go now, but don't forget to come straight back here after lunch. During lunchtime, the gang had another discussion about the booze they were going to sneak into their hand luggage when they go on a skiing trip. Hey guys, I've got an idea. When we've finished eating, we can go and hang around outside the shops and take some booze when anyone comes out with any. We've all got our bikes here, so we'll have enough time to take it all back to the hideout and get back here before the end of lunchtime, said Stampy. They all thought this was a great idea, and as soon as they'd finished their lunch, they all went over to the shopping centre. When anyone came out with any booze and turned their backs on it, they took as much as they could carry. Then they took it back to the hideout and went back to school. By 2 p.m. they'd finished all their work, so Mr. Pease gave them permission to go to the computer room to play games, as there was no class in there that afternoon. That day when they went home, they told their parents about the school skiing trip, and they gave them permission to go, and they signed the permission slip. The next day they took the permission slip and the full amount to pay for their trip to school and gave it to Mr. Pease. Over the next couple of weeks they packed as much booze as they could in their hand luggage. On the day they went, they had to travel by coach to Manchester Airport. On the way there, the gang sat together on the back seat of the coach, sneakily drinking small bottles of lager. When they got to the airport, they had an hour and a half before they were due to board the plane, and Mr. Pease said to everyone, "Please don't go wandering off around the airport. We must all stay together so that no one gets lost and misses the plane." Then Stumpy said, "Sir, please can we get something to eat? I'm hungry." All 40 kids and 10 staff members looked at each other and then at Stumpy, and all together they said, "You're always hungry, Stumpy." Everyone laughed, and then Mr. Pease said, "Come on everyone, let's go and eat because we have a long journey ahead of us." They all ate and then they made their way to the plane. Once everyone had boarded the plane safely, they all fastened their seatbelts and the plane took off. It only took 1 hour and 45 minutes to get to Switzerland by plane. Then they had a 1 hour drive to get to their destination. All the way there, all the gang did was drink sneakily. The week before, Timothy and Joanne Strawberry both had their 14th birthday on the same day. The gang were planning to put a surprise party on for them both. However, they didn't know where it was going to be yet. As they were arriving at their destination, Grumpy spotted a huge derelict building, and he said to the others, "Hey guys, look! That building over there is completely empty. We could have Timothy and Joanne's party there." "Yeah, that's a great idea, Grumpy. Well spotted," said Bumpy. When they got to the hostel they were staying in, it was almost 10 p.m. They all had something to eat and then they all went to their rooms. As soon as the teachers thought everyone was asleep, the gang got out of bed and made their way to the empty house. When they got there, they spent their time drinking and cleaning the place for the party. They got back to the hostel around 1 a.m. and they climbed in through the girls' dormitory window. The next day they were taken to some practice ski slopes, where they had to practice skiing before being allowed on the real slopes. However, the little monsters seized every opportunity they could to sneak off to organise the party and to have a few drinks. On the second day of their trip, they went round telling everyone about the surprise party. That night, once the staff thought everyone was asleep, they all sneaked into the girls' dormitory, climbed out of the window and went to the house. Of course, the gang were already there. They'd put pillows in their bed to make it look like it was them. However, after the party had been going for about 2.5 hours, Mr. Pease looked in the dormitory. Straight away he realised that the kids weren't there. He alerted the rest of the staff and the hostel staff. The hostel staff knew about the empty house and suggested they look there. However, Kicker saw them walking over and she turned the music off and said to everyone, "The staff are coming, quick everyone, hide." Everyone hid in cupboards and under the beds, and when the staff came in the house, they just thought that the kids weren't there and set out searching for them. While they were searching, all the kids went back to the hostel and went to bed. A couple of members of staff stayed behind and they heard a commotion. When one of them looked in the dormitories, all the kids were there. She told them to get back to bed and then she rang Mr. Pease to let him know that the kids were back and to call off the search. By the time all the staff got back to the hostel, all the kids were in bed asleep. The next day Mr. Pease said, "I don't know where you all went last night, but from now on there'll be no more sneaking out. If you do sneak out and you get caught, there'll be consequences. Now, everybody, get on the bus. Today we're learning about the history of Switzerland. During our stay, we'll be visiting different parts of the country to learn about the history of each town. No matter where you go in Switzerland, there are ski slopes, so we'll get to do quite a bit of skiing. However, you'll only be allowed to ski if your work's complete and handed in. Anyone who hasn't completed their work for the day will not be allowed to ski until their work's complete and handed in. Is that understood, everyone?" "Yes, sir," said the kids. That day when they got to their location, the gang were put in Mr. Orange's group. Everyone knew that he was slack and dopey and that he wouldn't notice if anyone sneaked off. And of course the gang did that with a few other kids. They'd all brought some alcohol with them, so they all sneaked off to drink it. They made sure that they were back in time to get back on the bus. Mr. Orange never even noticed that they'd been gone, much to their amusement. That night, back at the hostel, when everyone was fast asleep, the gang, Timothy, Joanne Strawberry and a couple of other kids sneaked out to the local pubs. When they got to the first one, it was packed, so they went in and drank as much alcohol as they could. After about an hour, they went on to the next pub. This pub was also packed, so they went in and drank as much alcohol as they could. They even went behind the bar and helped themselves to alcoholic drinks. They put as many bottles of beer in their backpacks as they could. On their way out, Stumpy spotted £100 on the floor, so he picked it up and kept it. Then he said to the others, "Hey guys, I just found £100 on the floor." "Where did you find it?" asked Kicker. "I found it on the floor when we were leaving that pub," answered Stumpy. "Wow, it's all right for some people," said Kicker. On their way to the next pub, Bumpy looked down and there was a man's wallet and a woman's purse on the floor. She picked them up and there was no cards or identification in them. The wallet had £600 in and the purse had £200 in it. She couldn't believe it and she said to the others, "Hey guys, I've got £800. "What are you on about, Bumpy?" asked Stampy. "I found this purse with £200 in it and this wallet with £600 in it. There's no identification in either of them," answered Bumpy. "Wow, what are you going to do with all that money, Bumpy?" asked Creeper. "I'm going to keep it and buy some Xbox and PlayStation games when I get home," answered Bumpy. They all went to the next pub, but they were just closing, so they all decided to go back to the hostel. When they got there, they decided to sit in the canteen drinking. However, after about an hour, Mr. Pease woke up and he came down to see what all the noise was about. and he caught them drinking, and he said to them, "What on earth do you kids think you're doing?" "What's it look like, sir?" asked Stampy. "Give me the alcohol now," said Mr. Pease. "No, sir, we won. It's ours, not yours. If you want to drink, go and get your own," said Grumpy. "Who do you think you're talking to, Grumpy?" asked Mr. Pease. "I was talking to you, sir. Who else would I be talking to?" said Grumpy. "Oh, go to bed, all of you. I'll deal with you lot in the morning, when you're all sober," said Mr. Pease. All the kids just ignored him and carried on drinking. Then Mrs. Cupcake and Mrs. Pineapple came in, and they managed to get all the alcohol off the kids, or so they thought. The kids went to bed, but the next day they weren't allowed to go anywhere. They were made to stay behind to do extra schoolwork as punishment for their behaviour the night before. That night the kids were caught drinking again. This time they made sure that no one could get to their alcohol. Every night after that they drank and got caught. When they went back home, their parents were told about their behaviour, and they were all grounded. When they went back to school, they were given lunchtime and after school detention. However, they never went to detention. They just did what they wanted to do. I mean, if they did as they were told, they wouldn't be the little monsters now, would they? Well, would they? The end. Thanks for watching, guys. See you. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, please feel free to like, share, comment and to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Love yous.